You were not born into crime. You were born in a red brick hospital on the west side of Detroit in the winter of 1989. Outside the windows, snow-covered abandoned factories and empty lots, but inside, everything felt normal. Your first memory is not violence or fear. It is the sound of an old television playing cartoons while your mother folded laundry in a cramped apartment that always smelled faintly of cigarettes and cleaning chemicals. Your father was not a gangster. He worked at an auto plant, like most men in your neighborhood. Every morning he put on steel-toe boots and drove to a factory that had already started laying off workers. He didn't talk much, but when he did, it was about stability. Keep your head down. Work hard. Don't make stupid choices. You were the oldest son. That meant responsibility. Not in a dramatic way, just quiet expectations. Watch your younger brother. Don't get in trouble. Help your mother when your father works late. For a while, your life followed a simple pattern. School. Home. Basketball courts between broken buildings. Summers felt long and loud, filled with sirens in the distance and music from passing cars. Nothing seemed unusual because it was all you knew. The first crack didn't come with violence. It came with silence. One day your father came home earlier than usual and sat down without turning on the television. Your mother asked what happened. He didn't answer right away. Then he said the plant was closing. Not slowing down. Not restructuring. Closing. Just like that, decades of routine disappeared in a single sentence. After that, things changed slowly, then all at once. Your father started staying home more, but he wasn't really there. He sat at the kitchen table staring at nothing. Bills began stacking up in a corner like quiet reminders of something no one wanted to talk about. Your mother picked up extra shifts at a nursing home. She came back exhausted, her hands dry and cracked from constant washing. You learned early that money controlled everything. Not in an abstract way. In a direct, suffocating way. When money ran out, the lights flickered. When money ran out, food became smaller portions. When money ran out, arguments started. By the time you were 14, the apartment felt smaller even though nothing had changed physically. You started spending more time outside. Not because you wanted to, but because the tension inside the home became unbearable. That's where you first noticed them. The older guys. They didn't work at factories. They didn't rush anywhere. They stood on corners, leaning against cars, wearing clean sneakers and heavy jackets even in warm weather. People approached them quietly, exchanged something quickly, and left. No one talked about it directly, but everyone understood. They had money. At first you just watched. Then one of them noticed you. "Why are you always looking over here?" he asked, half smiling. You shrugged. "Just watching." He laughed. "You want to make some money?" That question didn't sound dangerous at the time. It sounded like opportunity. Your first job wasn't selling anything. It was simple. Stand on the corner. Watch for police. If anything looked wrong, walk away and signal. You didn't fully understand what you were protecting. You just knew that at the end of the day someone handed you $40. $40 for doing nothing. At home, $40 was groceries. It was electricity. It was relief. You told yourself it wasn't a big deal. Just standing. Just watching. But small steps changed direction without making noise. Soon you were doing more. Carrying small packages. Delivering them to people who avoided eye contact. The first time you held drugs in your hand, it didn't feel like a turning point. It felt like routine. Your father never asked where the money came from. He just stopped asking questions altogether. Maybe he knew. Maybe he didn't want to know. At 16, you made more money in a week than your mother made in 2. That changes how you see the world. It changes how the world sees you. You bought new shoes. New clothes. Small things at first. Then bigger things. Your confidence grew, but so did your distance from everything you used to be. School became irrelevant. Teachers stopped trying. You stopped pretending. The streets became your education. You learned quickly. Not from books, but from mistakes, yours and others. You learned who to trust, which corners were safe, how to read tension before it exploded into violence. You learned that respect wasn't given. It was enforced. By 18, you weren't just running errands anymore. You were selling. At first it was small. A few customers. Quick exchanges. Then it grew. Word spread. You moved product faster. People started recognizing your face. With recognition came risk. Police began circling your area more often. Unmarked cars. Slow passes. Watching. The older guys taught you how to move. Never stay in one place too long. Never carry too much. Always assume someone is watching. You followed the rules. Until you didn't. The first time you got arrested, it wasn't dramatic. No chase. No gun. Just bad timing. You were holding more than you should have. The officer searched you, found everything, and that was it. At the station, everything felt smaller. The walls. The air. The future. Your mother came to pick you up. She didn't yell. That was worse. She just looked tired. More tired than you had ever seen her. "Is this who you want to be?" she asked quietly. You didn't answer. Because by then, you already knew. After that, you told yourself you would be smarter. More careful. Not stop, just better. And you were. For a while. You started working under someone bigger. A man everyone called Marcus. He wasn't loud. He didn't flash money or cars. But everyone listened when he spoke. He saw something in you. "You're not stupid," he said once. That's rare. Working for him changed everything. The money got bigger. The operations got cleaner. Less chaos. More structure. You weren't standing on corners anymore. You were managing them. Tracking supply. Handling people. Making decisions. It felt like control. It felt like power. It felt like success. But the higher you climb in that world, the thinner the ground becomes beneath you. And one day, without warning, it disappears. The moment everything changed didn't feel like a moment at all. There was no warning, no dramatic build-up. Just one small mistake in a world where mistakes don't forgive. It started with a new crew moving into the East Side. Younger guys. Louder. Less disciplined. They didn't follow the same rules. They didn't respect territory. They didn't care about consequences. At first, it was just tension. Small confrontations. Looks held a little too long. Cars circling blocks they didn't belong to. Marcus told everyone to stay calm. "This isn't business," he said. "This is ego. And ego gets people killed." For a while, things stayed contained. Then one of your runners didn't come back. No phone call. No message. Just gone. You found out the next day. Beaten, robbed, left in an alley. Alive, but barely. It wasn't about money. It was a message. You found out the next day. Beaten, robbed, left in an alley. Alive, but barely. It wasn't about money. It was a message. Marcus didn't raise his voice. That's how you knew it was serious. We don't let that stand. What followed wasn't a war in the way movies show it. No constant gunfire. No chaos every night. It was quieter. Controlled. Strategic. People started disappearing. Corners shifted hands. Supply lines got disrupted. You were in the middle of it. Not because you wanted to be. Because there was no way out. At 23, you were making more money than you ever imagined as a kid. Cash stacked in show boxes. New car. Better apartment. People treating you with a mix of fear and respect. From the outside, it looked like you had made it. From the inside, you hadn't slept properly in months. You started noticing things. Cars that stayed too long. Faces you didn't recognize. Silence where there used to be noise. Paranoia doesn't arrive suddenly. It grows. Quietly. Like mold. One night, everything snapped. You were in a car with two others, moving product across neighborhoods you knew too well. It was supposed to be routine. In and out. No problems. Then headlights appeared behind you. Too close. Too consistent. Your driver noticed it first. We got company. The car didn't pass. Didn't turn. Just stayed. That's when the first shot hit. Glass exploded inward. The sound was louder than anything you had ever heard, even though you had heard gunshots before. But this was different. This was close. Immediate. Personal. Your driver lost control for a second, then corrected. More shots. Metal tearing. Someone shouting. You didn't think. You reacted. Duck. Move. Survive. The car swerved through a side street, tires screeching. The other vehicle kept up for a moment, then disappeared. Just like that, it was over. Silence. Except it wasn't. The guy next to you wasn't moving. You looked down. Blood. Too much. That was the first time you realized something you had ignored for years. This doesn't end well. Not for anyone. After that night, everything felt different. The money didn't feel the same. The streets didn't feel the same. Even Marcus looked different. Not weaker. Just older. Like the weight had finally caught up to him. You thinking about getting out? He asked you one evening. You didn't answer right away. Because the truth was simple. There was no out. Not really. You tried anyway. You started pulling back. Less involvement. Fewer risks. Smaller moves. You told yourself you could transition into something else. Legal business. Clean money. But the past doesn't let go just because you want it to. Police pressure increased. Raids in nearby blocks. People getting picked up. Talking. Always talking. One morning, they came for you. Not in the street. Not during a deal. At home. A knock on the door that wasn't really a knock. By the time you opened it, it was already over. Hands behind your back. Cold metal. Words you barely processed. You're under arrest. The trial wasn't dramatic. No speeches. No revelations. Just paperwork, evidence, statements. Years of your life reduced to files and recordings. You didn't fight it the way you thought you would. You were tired. The sentence came down like a formality. Years. Not a number you could feel. Just something heavy and distant. Prison doesn't break you all at once. It reshapes you slowly. Days become identical. Time stretches and collapses at the same time. You learn routines. You learn silence. You learn how to exist without thinking too far ahead. At first, people recognized you. Reputation travels. But inside, reputation doesn't mean much. Everyone has a past. Everyone was someone on the outside. Inside, you're just another man counting days. You thought about your family more than you expected. Your mother. Your brother. The apartment. The kitchen. Simple things. Things you ignored when you had money. Marcus never visited. You heard things through other inmates. Pieces of stories. Arrests. Disappearances. Operations collapsing. The world you built continued without you, then eventually without him. Years passed. More than you could track properly. When you finally got out, the city looked the same and completely different at the same time. Detroit had changed. Parts rebuilt. Parts still broken. New people. New systems. New ways of doing the same old things. You stepped out with a small bag and nowhere to go. No money you could use legally. No job history that anyone would accept. No clean record. Freedom felt limited. You tried. You really did. Applications. Small jobs. Temporary work. But every form asked the same question. Have you ever been convicted? That question closes doors before you even reach them. You moved into a small room in a rundown building. Cash payments. No questions asked. Just like before, but different. Quieter. You stayed away from the old streets at first. But habits don't disappear. They wait. One evening, an old contact found you. We got something going, he said. Not like before. Smarter. Cleaner. You looked at him and saw yourself years ago. Confident. Wrong. You shook your head. I'm out. He laughed. Man, nobody's ever out. Maybe he was right. But you didn't go back. Not fully. You lived in between worlds. Not part of the system. Not fully outside it either. Just existing. Your body started slowing down before your mind accepted it. Years of stress, bad food, constant tension, they leave marks. Sleep became harder. Breathing heavier. Chest pain that came and went. You ignored it. Like everything else. One winter, colder than usual, you stayed inside more. The room felt smaller every day. Walls closing in without moving. You spent hours sitting on a chair near the window, watching the street below. People walking. Cars passing. Life continuing. Without you. You thought about everything. Not with regret. Not exactly. More like distance. Like watching someone else's life. The kid in the kitchen. The teenager on the corner. The man in the car under gunfire. The inmate counting days. All of them were you. And none of them were. On your last night, there was no violence. No sirens. No dramatic ending. Just silence. You sat in that small room, the heater barely working, the window slightly open letting in cold air. You held a cup of cheap liquor in your hand, staring at nothing in particular. No big thoughts. No final words. Just exhaustion. Real, deep exhaustion. You lay down without turning off the light. At some point, you closed your eyes. That was it. The landlord found you 2 days later when the smell started spreading into the hallway. Police came. Routine. Questions no one could answer. No family listed. No emergency contact. Just a name attached to a record. Former offender. History of narcotics distribution. Nothing about who you were before. Nothing about who you could have been. Your belongings fit into a small bag. A jacket. Some cash. An old photograph so worn the faces were barely visible. The city kept moving. Cars drove past the building. People went to work. Somewhere, on a street not far away, a kid watched older guys standing on a corner, clean shoes, easy money. And for a second, it looked like opportunity. Just like it did for you. And just like that, the story started again.